Greetings, everyone. This is John Kountouris, and you're listening to my program, Greek News on Demand. You can find our website by just typing in your URL bar, GreekNewsOnDemand.com. Once you pull up the front page, you're going to see a bunch of articles, mostly in Greek. Just go to the top black bar and find the section where it says English articles. And there you can find a lot of our articles published in English. We deal with bombshell articles, both about the Greek world, about Greek politics, about Greek finances, as well as American politics. For example, the U.S. elections, and all of the scandals, let's say, of Hillary Clinton, and things of that sort. And recently we've come out with some really huge bombshell articles on Hillary Clinton and her relationship with the former Greek Prime Minister of Greece, George Papandreou, and how they both colluded to put Greece under the control of the Troika. And basically how that is what led to the crisis the Greeks are in today, unfortunately. But also, we lately have been publishing a lot of articles about Hillary Clinton's health and other major scandals that are now coming down the pike. So, what I'd like to do is talk a little bit about that, and then after that, I'll give some breaking news about what's going on in Greece. My personal website is johnkountouris.com. That's one word, and it's spelled John Koun as in Nancy, T as in Tom, Ouris. Again, that's JOHNKOUNTOURIS.com. The moment you pull up the front page, you will see basically various different sections regarding what I do. I'm a Greek journalist. I appear on Greek TV here in the United States and in Greece. I also appear on Greek radio here in the United States as well as in Greece. The radio station I appear on here in the States is called Halas FM, which has at least about 350,000 listeners in the New York area, Connecticut and Maryland areas. So that's a pretty good program that I appear on. And I get my message out to the Greek people about what's really going on in Greece and, of course, the rest of the world. Of course, we tackle issues that concern the New World Order, how that affects Greece, America, and so on and so forth. So if you go to my personal website, you'll learn a lot about me and the work that I do. You also see 2 books that I've written. The first one is called Your Academic Guide to the Greek Language, Culture, and Civilization by John Kountouris. That book is very critical to waking up people about the real reason why the New World Order started, and the real reason why it started is because the Greek Christian Empire, Byzantine Empire, fell in 1453, not only to the Ottoman Turks, but to very powerful, sinister circles from the black nobility of Venice, and of course the then world Jewry, and all of these forces colluded together to destroy the Greek people, their empire, which is a moral preserving, Christian moral preserving force in the world, and so on and so forth. I also teach the secrets of ancient Greek, if you want to learn ancient Greek. I teach the best method for seminary students on how to learn the ancient Greek language. I use basically my services for Hollywood on Greek subtitles for movies. I've done work for the show Constantine before on ABC, translating ancient Greek lines for them to be taught to their lead actor. So I'm very active with all things Greek. Also, my second book is Hellenic Crisis by John Kountouris. Hellenic Crisis by John Kountouris. And by the way, both of these books you can find on Amazon's Kindle. Just type it in Google. So the second book, Hellenic Crisis, deals specifically with the Greek economic crisis and all the particulars behind it. I reveal the real reasons why it happened. And basically the reason why it happened is because Germany and France and other nations needed to pay off their banks. So they made up this huge scam there in Europe in conjunction with the IMF and the European Community, European Economic Community, and the European Central Bank, by which to get the Greek people to pay for all their debts. And it's a very tragic situation. It's a major conspiracy against the Greek people. So I analyze it all in my book. And what I talk about is that the Greek crisis is not just one that's been going on for 6 years, it's been going on for decades. And the powers that be, meaning the New World Order, do not want a nation like Greece again to become powerful. A nation that is Christian, that is moral, that is decent, that is anti-New World Order, etc., etc. They cannot have another powerful Greek nation again that ruled the world like the Greek Byzantines did. And that's specifically why, for the past exactly 100 years, the forces that be have been trying to destroy the Greek people, as well as other Christian populations like the Armenians, because all of us at one time were the great Christian Byzantine Empire. And of course it was led by us, the Greeks. But yesterday we commemorated the National Greek Genocide Day, something which this disgusting evil government of ours will not recognize. Gee, isn't that interesting? I thought that in this country we recognize the plight of poor people. We recognize the genocides that have taken place over the centuries, particularly the quote-unquote Holocaust of the Jews, etc., etc. Well, I'm here to tell you that the only thing that our government does care about is the so-called Holocaust of the Jews, which is nothing more than one big fairy tale that the Jews have used to enslave pretty much the Western world by gaining first their sympathy and then taking them over from within over the decades since World War II. Now, why is it, of course, that our government won't recognize the Armenian and the Greek genocides? That's the question here. The question is basically one that, once it's answered, it will open up everyone's eyes. Our government is pressured by Jewish organizations, by the Jewish lobby, AIPAC, etc., to not ever recognize the Armenian and Greek genocides, because the moment we do, people are then going to have this in their national conscience, and then they're going to go and research it. And what will they find out? Why they will find out that these genocides were committed by none other than crypto-Jews. Crypto-Jews, yes, you heard that correctly. The reason why our government will not recognize the Greek and Armenian genocides is because Jews did them. That's why. And the moment people find out that it was the Jews that did them, they're going to turn against them and tear them to pieces. This is real, what I'm saying right now. This is where the battle is at right now. It's this issue. This is the crux of the matter of every damn thing out there that we're dealing with today with regards to this system that we live in, this crypt system, this tyrannical New World Order system that's been set up to tyrannize all of us. The moment you elucidate this matter for the public, everything changes. The moment people find out that it wasn't the Jews that suffered, but other peoples during World War I and World War II at the hand of the Jews, they're going to flip out, they're going to wake up, and they're going to take care of business because they're going to realize they've been lied to and duped. That's why. Is it any wonder that any time this issue is raised in Congress, the half-Jew Nancy Pelosi and all her other fellow Jews rise up and basically squash any effort to recognize these Christian people's genocides? And you would think that the Jews would want to sympathize with other peoples who have suffered like them, right? You would think that they want to basically, share the whole Holocaust pot with other peoples. But see, there's only one problem. The Jews hold a monopoly on genocides and holocausts. Don't you find it strange that anytime anyone tries to bring up these type of issues, or when they try to discuss and talk about how genocides have happened with other people over the, let's say, centuries, that the Jews immediately say that they're anti-Semitic when these people weren't even talking about Jews, they're talking about other peoples that have suffered? Don't you find that odd and strange that the Jews react immediately and chime into the discussion when it doesn't even have anything to do with them? And they say, oh, it's anti-Semitic to say that other people suffered other than the Jews. I mean, is that just mind-boggling insane to you, or what? Why wouldn't they want to? In order to sympathize with other people. Well, the reality is they don't want to sympathize with other people. They want to continue to terrorize peoples around the world with their myth, which is what they use as the means by which to tyrannize us. They had to develop this myth first in order to gain control over Western society. If this myth had never come about, they would never have had the opportunity to gain power in the Western world the way they have. For example, in Eastern Europe. In Eastern Europe, it's a crime to deny the Holocaust. You go to prison. Gee, that's odd. I thought we lived in a free democratic world. I thought that Europe has been delivered from tyranny and oppression, and that we have free speech, and that it's good and healthy for us to question things in a free society, free and open society. Wrong. We don't live in a free and open society. That's all one big facade, as you all might have noticed by now. The Jews tyrannize the world. End of story. You don't live in a free society. So, the issue here is whether you're going to wake up or not. That's it. End of story. Whether you're going to recognize this, whether you're going to have the guts to really realize what's going on and do something about it. And say enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of these damn bloodsuckers controlling our world and screwing nations around the world and causing all these problems, all these wars. They're the ones behind the war in Syria. It's all come out. They're the ones that are causing all the problems in the world. It's all come out. No one can deny this. And if you do, you're a reality denier. The Jews like to call people Holocaust deniers who deny the so-called Holocaust. But I have a term for people who deny what we're saying here. I call them reality deniers, because they don't want to grapple with reality, because they fear the Jews. That's why. They fear the reaction of them. And when the Jews hold people in this type of terror, that's a very, very serious thing. Because now, it's like what Machiavelli, I believe, said. He said, find out about those whom you cannot criticize, and therein lies your masters. Yesterday, RT, Press TV, and all these networks came out with a big report that says the U.S. vows to pay Israel $38 billion in 10 years. U.S. President Barack Obama and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu held a meeting in the Oval Office in the White House. And the United States and Israel signed a military deal in which Washington pledges for a record $38 billion in military aid to the regime. A 10-year deal was signed as planned by Israel's national security advisor and a U.S. senior diplomat on Wednesday. With Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the helm, the Tel Aviv regime has been at loggerheads with the administration of Barack Obama, etc., etc., etc. I mean, my God, this is just unbelievable. What type of country do we live in? We already give Israel about at least $10 billion a year in aid anyway, and now we're about to give them more? Over a period of 10 years? $38 billion over 10 years? This is insane. So, let's recognize the genocides that the Greeks and Armenians went through. Let's get that information out. let's focus on what the Jews have done to these peoples, as well as many other peoples, including the Ukrainians, the Poles, the Russians, from World War II up until this very day. This very day. The Jews are committing a genocide right now in the Ukraine. People have been killed there because of their invasion there. Because of Obama and NATO. And there's a whole huge issue that has broken out between the people there that support the West and those that support Russia. We caused this because we allowed the Jews to take control of this whole situation. So the Jews now are actually recognizing that that's their actual real homeland from, let's say, ancient times past, because that's where the Khazars were. And the majority of the Jews today are the Khazars. They have nothing to do with the biblical Israelites. That's the whole farce. And see, the moment that that is exposed for Christians out there, they're going to wake up and realize, my God, we're the biggest dupes in the world, and we act like we're the ones who are saved, quote unquote, and going to heaven, and everyone else is going to hell. Wrong. You are the enemy because you are the mouthpiece and the support base of the enemy. And all these crazy nut job supposed liberals that were telling you the truth about this all these years, including the truth about all the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq, they were the ones that were right, and you were wrong. It's just that plain and simple. So it's time to wake up. What can I say? That's why the brand of Christianity today in America, particularly Protestantism with the Pentecostal and evangelical branches, they're the ones that have done the real harm and damage in this country, because if it wasn't for them, the Jews would not have a platform and a foothold in this country. End of story. Because it was them that supported Jewish interests, because their own pastors and ministers were agents of world Jewry to hijack Protestant Christianity and use it as a means to promote Christian Zionism, which is the scourge, basically, of Christianity and, of course, the whole world, because it has led to supporting the Jews in their Zionist cause in Israel and, of course, around the whole world, because God says so. When in reality, God does not say so. The Bible doesn't say so. Church history doesn't say so. And so on and so forth. See, that's why people got to get my first book, as well as my second book, but my first book really grapples and tackles this issue and deals with it effectively. Your Academic Guide to the Greek Language, Culture, and Civilization by John Kountouris. So, what I like to do is get into a little bit about Hillary Clinton, because, I mean, there's just so many revelations coming out about her. It's just mind-boggling. Stand by. Well, I certainly have some interesting stuff to show you from GreekNewsOnDemand.com. So, if basically you go to our site, you'll be able to find some articles that are in English. Unfortunately, most of them are in Greek. I need basically an editor, and I need someone to basically help me publish in English. That's the whole key thing, which I'm trying to find now. But we just heard about how Hillary Clinton is dead. Well, not really. Well, maybe. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We heard those rumors, if they really are even rumors, from ABC News, Eyewitness News out of New York. So basically what I like to do is play that clip first and then talk about it.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Brookman.
And I'm Joe Torres. We begin with the breaking news about Hillary Clinton's death. Hillary Clinton's doctor has just revealed the presidential candidate has been diagnosed with pneumonia.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandra Brookman.
And I'm Joe Torres. We begin with the breaking news about Hillary Clinton's death. Hillary Clinton's doctor.
Okay, la la la, blah blah blah. The whole question is right now is basically did that reporter Joe Torres really say that Hillary Clinton is dead? Was he kidding? Did somebody write that into their script and put it on the teleprompter for him to read? Did he make a mistake? What I find odd is basically, somebody had to have written that into a script, because those type of mistakes don't just happen. So there's a lot of people right now that are saying, well, it was a mistake because he meant to say health instead of death. It could be a possibility, but I mean, if you're reading straight from the teleprompter and you're a seasoned veteran, I think you could tell the difference. I don't think you'd make a mistake like that. Do mistakes happen from time to time? Of course they do. But a lot of people are starting to think that, hey, something fishy is here going on, because they may be trying to put something into the public subconscious here. They may be trying to warn us about something here. So, you never know. But the thing is, basically with everything that's going on, a lot of people now are starting to realize, there's a huge cover-up going on here with Hillary Clinton. So on Sunday, this past Sunday, she was in New York, and she's at the 9/11 ceremonies. Of course, no one ever speaks the truth about 9/11. And we hear all this bullshit coming down the pike. Excuse the expression, but I will say it. In honor of the 9/11 victims, because basically, our government still will not talk about the truth about 9/11. And you had this stupid report come out recently that said the Saudis were behind 9/11. I mean, that's just so unbelievably ridiculous, stupid. I didn't even know where to begin with that, because I've been researching 9/11 for many years, as well as many of you out there. And we all know who was behind 9/11. Now, the Saudis could have played a financial role in funding 9/11, but with all the evidence that's come out, I think what happened was this. I think that Bush continued his dealings with the bin Laden families, which we all know was very, very real. Of course, they were both partners of the Carlyle Group, and the Carlyle Group is the big contractor that makes all the U.S. military bases around the world, and the bin Laden family runs that, but the Bushes have been partners in that. But we all know that Osama bin Laden wasn't behind 9/11. He said it himself in a Pakistani interview on September the 28th, 2001. Where he said the American people basically need to wake up about who's controlling them. It's very powerful Jewish circles. I didn't have anything to do with the attack on 9/11, but the American people need to start looking introspectively within their own government, he said, because they're controlled by the Jews. That's what he said. Osama bin Laden also gave a CNN interview, I believe it was May of 2001, and he's pretty much said the same thing. And he said that his intelligence was showing, because he was a former CIA asset, that the American government was going to do a terrorist attack on 9/11 and then blame it on him. So the CNN journalist runs with the story, and CNN published the story. Of course, it was Bill Cooper who, about a month or more later, read that on air on his program from Arizona. He was the first guy to predict that 9/11 was going to take place. And then, of course, that other dingbat from Texas. Oh, gee, what's his name? Oh, yeah, Alex Jones. He, he tried to piggyback off of what Mr. Cooper had said. Of course, there was a battle going on between these two guys at that point. And every time Alex Jones is asked about that feud, he starts going nuts and insane. He doesn't want to answer to any type of question about that issue between his feud with Bill Cooper because, if you recall, they used to first be friends. But then, unfortunately, a huge issue took place. Bill Cooper started realizing the truth about Alex Jones. Listen here to a clip where a caller about 7 years ago calls into Alex Jones' show and asks him about William Cooper. Listen to Alex Jones' response. We're talking about one of the greatest American patriots that we ever lived in this country. Listen very closely.
So let's take a few calls right now. Matthew in North Carolina, go ahead.
Hey, Alex, how you doing, bud?
Good. What's on your mind today?
Nothing, man. I just wanted to tell you about, I ran into a Freemason, and he told me to read some books, and he said, to become a Freemason, not that I wanted to become a Freemason or anything, he said read William Cooper's To Behold the Pale Horse. I think it was Defrauding America by Ralph Emerson, and I just wanted to let you know, Rush Limbaugh, he told America that William Cooper was dangerous, and he was one of the dangerous radio hosts. So I just want you to be careful, man. Love you.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Look, I'm not in the business of getting in fights with William Cooper. But people tried to set him up against me because he did some jealousy broadcasts. And most people that attack me aren't government agents. They're mad. And he started saying that I was more popular than him. I never heard his radio show. Never heard it. And you go back to my early TV shows. I was citing G. Edward Griffin, Ron Paul. Those were the people. If you see those first shows, I was pretty close to a mainline Republican. Kind of like Republicans today that are starting to get into Ron Paul. That was about the level I was at. I mean, I knew about the Federal Reserve. I knew about global banks. I knew about monopoly capitalism. I knew socialism and fascism were controlled by the banks. I'd read Gary Allen's. You know who woke me up? It's Gary Allen. It's Bob Chapman. Bob Chapman, published that book. He paid for it. That's who woke me up. And so I wasn't into UFOs. I've never covered UFOs. That's not me. He was a UFOologist. That's what he did. And he was on WBCQ that no one can hear in Texas. And by the time after I'd interviewed him, trying to help him out when I heard the IRS was after him, the age of the internet had begun, people said, hey, you better know who this guy is. Here are audio recordings of him attacking you. So I was sent cassette tapes that were recorded off shortwave that I could barely understand. So I didn't really listen to much of it. I popped one in, and he said that I'm a transvestite that wears ruby nipple rings, and I thought it was a joke. And then I finally read the Behold the Pale Horse I've been mailed. I've been mailed a lot of them, and it was it said that Jesus was sacrificed by aliens, and there were holograms and flying saucer submarines, and I mean, I couldn't get through it. And so I'm forced to just explain to people that William Cooper could attack me all he wanted to, and that's fine.
Basically, what he's saying here is that William Cooper is attacking him from the grave. Now, besides all of what he said, the real point is this, that William Cooper, even before this whole 9/11 movement started, because remember, he was murdered by the FBI in November of 2001, just basically a couple months after 9/11. But even before all that, William Cooper already spotted Alex Jones as basically a government CIA agent. And William Cooper was right. And Alex Jones in other broadcasts has belittled and has attacked William Cooper posthumously, unfortunately. And, of course, William Cooper did speak the truth on what's really going on. He did mention the Jewish Zionist control of America. He did get into the whole UFO thing. which was very good. Because remember, he had a lot of experience dealing with UFO sightings being in the Navy. William Cooper was a guy that we should all remember and all basically, spread his work around, because he was one of the real, 9/11 truther pioneers in America, let's say, and American patriots, besides basically his views on his book, Behold the Pale Horse, and things of that sort. So I remember one time seeing a broadcast of his, or a speech of his, and someone asked him, what do we do about the Jewish control of the media? And he said, don't worry about the Jews, make your own media. Ignore the Jews. In other words, don't give them so much credence. Make your own radio and get out there and speak the truth. So, but it hasn't just been him. It's been many other people that have exposed Alex Jones, who, of course, recently has now espoused the government's myth about 9/11. He actually aired on his show this whole garbage, these new supposed 28 pages of some stupid document that says the Saudis did 9/11. My God. And, of course, Alex Jones doesn't want to touch the whole issue about the Israeli Mossad connection with 9/11. About how Benjamin Netanyahu was involved in this too. About how the Jewish neocons in Washington with the other neocons, like non-Jewish neocons like Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, they all together planned and pulled off 9/11. He doesn't even talk about that. And he spits and he tramples on the memory of all these people, and he's misleading the American public. And basically, he's a total fraud, because he knows that if he touches that issue, he won't have a show tomorrow. That's why. And when all these people say, well, gee, how come they haven't killed him yet? I think it's pretty obvious to understand why, because anyone who does not touch the whole Jewish control issue is left alone. End of story. You could talk about anything and anyone you want to, but the moment you mention the J word, you're done the next day. Which is basically something that's happened to top reporters like Helen Thomas, the other guy from CNN, the Puerto Rican guy, trying to remember Rick Sanchez, and those types. So basically, this is something that really does need to be addressed to Alex Jones by his listeners. We need to inundate the internet with videos that expose him and that expose the truth behind 9/11. But besides all that, getting back to the 9/11 ceremonies in New York the other day, Hillary Clinton, of course, faints. We all saw it. So what happens? She's taken to Chelsea Clinton's home. Now, what's interesting is that Chelsea Clinton happens to share the same address with a business called MetroCare Home Services Incorporated, 21st East 26th Street, 4th floor, New York, 10010. Gee, that's odd. In other words, Chelsea Clinton shares the same address with a healthcare facility that's for elderly people. In other words, an old folks' home. Isn't that interesting? According to the site USDefenseWatch.com, they write, in fact, the Secret Service was going to follow protocol and take Mrs. Clinton to Bellevue Hospital, but several Clinton campaign aides demanded that the ailing Democrat nominee be taken to her daughter's place. Strangely, Chelsea's $10.5 million apartment shares an address with a company known as MetroCare Home Services, Inc. And I just read the address. They have the same address on the same floor. There is only one apartment per floor in the building. Oh my God, that's hilarious. In other words, Chelsea Clinton runs her home also as a healthcare facility for elderly people. Gee, I wonder why As reported earlier by Free Republic, a real estate description of the Whitman Building apartment states that the fourth floor of the Whitman features 4 bedrooms, 6.5 bathrooms, a home, a den, and stunning direct Madison Square Park views. A private storage unit is included with the residence. Residents will enjoy top-of-the-line building amenities, including a full-time doorman, residents-only gym, key-locked elevator with private elevator landings, and a refrigerated package room. Now, basically, what's trending right now is a lot of different things about Hillary Clinton, which we're going to get into a little bit about that. One of them, of course, is her body double. And that ties in with this whole story here. But continuing, though, with the same article, apparently all calls to the Metro Home Services number are directed to an extension answered by an elderly woman who speaks limited English and no Spanish. I like how they write, and no Spanish. The 4th floor apartment in the Whitman was also remodeled in 2013 by Jeffrey Cole Architects of Manhattan. And below is a job description that says, interior renovation of existing apartment number 4, architectural and plumbing work, energy exempt, National History Registry, USN number, and it gives a number, no change of use, occupancy, or egress under this application. The remodeling work, costing $40,000, was started in August of 2013, 5 months after Chelsea and husband Mark Malvinsky purchased the 5,000 square foot apartment. What is a healthcare services company doing at the exact location and address as Chelsea Clinton's apartment? Is MetroCare Home Services nothing more than a private clinic for Hillary Clinton to receive treatment away from the prying eyes of the media? What is Hillary Clinton and her campaign hiding from the American people? The American public deserves some answers from a candidate and a campaign that has been nothing less than completely dishonest and deceptive. You can check out this article, again, usdefensewatch.com. The title is, What is MetroCare Home Services and Why Are They Located in Chelsea Clinton's Apartment? Now, if that's not hilarious, I don't know what is. But let's get back, though, to this whole issue about Hillary Clinton having doubles. So, when Google has a trending search term, okay, that means that millions and millions of people out there are searching for a particular issue, are searching for information on a particular issue. That's huge. That's monumental. If I, for example, in my website become, let's say, a Google search item, a trending term, that's huge. Millions of people will find me, which I hope they do. But the fact that this has happened in the case of Hillary Clinton's body double, it's very telling. It says a lot about Hillary Clinton and about all the fishy stuff going on with her campaign. So what I'd first like to do is show you how even mainstream news media is now dealing with her whole body issue in the aftermath of her spill in New York. Because if you remember, Hillary Clinton falls in New York, and then about a half hour to an hour later, she all of a sudden appears out of Chelsea Clinton's apartment, or apartment / healthcare facility, right? And she looks fine. She looks great. Looks like she doesn't have any more problems, which is pretty odd. But let me play for you a clip from Inside Edition, because they're still like one of those news services that will they're still like one of those news services that will dare to sort of get into controversial issues. So let's hear them really quick here.
Internet is lighting up with conspiracy theories claiming this is not Hillary Clinton, but a body double. Hillary seemed in good spirits as she emerged from her daughter Chelsea's apartment Sunday after collapsing at the 9/11 memorial ceremony. But the Twitterverse erupted. Nose looks very different. This isn't Hillary. Another conspiracy theorist noted the absence of any obvious Secret Service agents close by when Hillary walked out of Chelsea's apartment building. Some citizen sleuths claim the woman emerging from Chelsea's apartment was actually this woman, Teresa Barnwell, who's the spitting image of the presidential candidate. And Teresa added fuel to the fire when she posted a photo of herself outside the apartment building wearing sunglasses with the caption, "Maybe I was in New York." But rest easy, all you conspiracy theorists out there.
I don't do government work. I do not do government work. No, no, no.
Teresa Barnwell even has an ironclad alibi. She was impersonating Hillary all right, but 3,000 miles away in L.A. Here's the evidence. She was appearing live on Spike TV's lip sync battle along with lookalikes of Bill Clinton, President Obama, and First Lady Michelle. Why did you post that tweet?
Just to kind of mess with people because of this rumor that had started that some kind of body double had come out of the apartment instead of the real Hillary. And I was like, come on.
And her message to the conspiracy theorists?
I mean, really?
So that was a clip from Inside Edition. But if you basically look at all the features between the first Hillary that fell and the second Hillary that came out of the apartment, here's what we note. The hair is different. For example, the first Hillary's hair is longer than that of the second Hillary. It's unmistakable. So what did she do? While she was basically in Hillary's or Chelsea's apartment / senior care facility, did she go get a haircut there too? In other words, does Chelsea's apartment also operate as a beauty salon? The hair is noticeably shorter. The second thing we see, the second thing that we observe, is that the ears are different. They're not the same ears. They are not the same ears. Third thing we notice, she's wearing different earrings. She is wearing different earrings. She's wearing the same clothes, but the earrings are different. So she changed her earrings, I guess, but she left the same clothes on. Fourth thing that we notice, the nose is different. The first Hillary's nose bends upward. The second Hillary's nose is more bending downward. It's more in the shape sort of a slight Roman type of nose. The fifth thing that we observe is that basically the first Hillary is obviously at a certain weight, but the second Hillary, the one that comes out of Chelsea's apartment / senior care facility / beauty salon, is thinner. She looks noticeably thinner. Now, should we just act like good little, alternative reporters and stay away from the conspiracy stuff because it's too crazy and controversial, quote unquote? Well, that's exactly what they want us to do. And that's the reason why they label us conspiracy theorists, because we dare to uncover everything about everyone. That's why. That's why they use that term. They use that term basically to shut us up, to demonize us. That's why they use that term. But we're not buying it, and we're not stupid. So, when Hillary's body double is trending like crazy on Google, and it's still there, you can just do it right now and you'll see it, then what does that tell you? There's a movie out there, there's a YouTube clip out there that I can refer you to for better details. And basically when you go to this YouTube clip, you're going to see some unbelievable changes in Hillary Clinton's appearance within matters of days, starting from about a year ago. I would say about a year ago. The following video with the title, so you got to go to YouTube and type this in, with the title, "The Cloning of Hillary Clinton," or "Who's the Double?" question mark. The cloning of Hillary Clinton, or "Who's the Double?" question mark. The name of the channel is David Voss, V-O-S-E, David Voss, V-O-S-E is how you spell his last name. So basically, he says that reports have been made that the Hillary Clinton in the debates was definitely not the old Hillary. And bear in mind, by the way, Mr. David Voss published this video on November the 10th, 2015, last year. Also bear in mind that Hillary Clinton has not done a real debate or press conference in almost a year. So again, what he says here is that reports have been made that Hillary Clinton in the debates was definitely not the original Hillary. She not only appears to be 10 to 20 years younger, but she is healthy and smiles. The old Clinton could not be cheerful or appear likable. If this is true, we will never know, but we can certainly see the evidence. And if it is true, we must conclude this clone is a technology from the stars, he writes. This is in the description of his video. This would mean Hillary is a plant to control us. But control from who? Does Russia have this kind of technology? China, perhaps? Or is this from the realm of the fallen angels? Or did Hillary go on a diet, get skin grafts, and learn how to smile? So, obviously he's joking, but I mean, this is just mind-boggling when you look at this video, because you see her right before she starts, going on the TV debates. She's got these sacs around her jaw and chin area. But during the debates, everything's changed. She doesn't have it anymore. She looks younger, fresher, no wrinkles. Honestly, I mean, you can't ignore this. Either she went for plastic surgery, or this is obviously a double. But I mean, the lady who came out of Chelsea's apartment / senior care facility / beauty salon is not the same Hillary. Is not the same Hillary, because any real forensic expert will tell you, who deals with the human anatomy, they will tell you that when the ears and the nose differ, it's not the same person. End of story. If someone tries to impersonate me and looks just like me, it's the spitting image of me, but his ears are different, guess what, folks? It's not me. That's why now you see pictures of Hillary hiding her ears. You see them now hiding their ears because they know that people are starting to learn about this stuff. And they're starting to find out that there's fraud being perpetrated here. So, this is something that I don't think we can really ignore and pass up as a quote-unquote conspiracy theory. Because when Google is lighting up with searches about all this stuff, that means a lot of people are questioning things, which is good. It's healthy. It's a good sign that people are waking up. Whether we fully believe all this stuff or not, the point is we have people questioning and thinking for themselves. And that's why basically this is all being reflected on the internet, and the internet is a huge indicator of public opinion. But basically you can check all this stuff out for yourself. And I encourage you to do that. I really do. But before we close, I'm not going to leave you without something about Donald Trump. Because God knows I'm not voting either for Hillary or Donald Trump. Okay? There are already rumors that Hillary Clinton's going to withdraw from the race within about a week. She's going to be replaced. It's all over the place. Now, USA Today News, oddly enough, did this huge report on the 31st of August this year, which said, what's going to happen in the case of either a presidential candidate withdrawing or actually dying? What would take place after that? Gee, I find that odd, because why would USA Today come out with a report like that, especially at a time when people are talking about Hillary Clinton and her health? I find that kind of funny. Now, they say basically that the Electoral College could intervene, especially if this takes place like from now up until a few days before the election starts, and they could essentially vote in their own candidate, completely ignoring a popular vote. I mean, completely. A popular vote may take place, but according, though, to John Nagel, a law professor from Notre Dame, he says that there is nowhere in the Constitution that requires that the Electoral College accept a popular vote. Well, folks, I have news for you. The Electoral College has the final say, and it always has had the final say in every election period, because when it comes to electing a president in this country, we have indirect elections. We do not have direct elections. China, a crazy communist, terrorist, human rights abuser state, has direct elections to vote in a figurehead, president. We do not. We do not. What does that tell you? Go to Wikipedia, just Google it in, type in the following phrase, elections by country, and you're going to see a whole list. And you're going to see how, the Philippines is a monarchy. You're going to see how, China, they vote their figurehead in by direct elections. You're going to see Great Britain, in other words, the UK, monarchy, and so on and so forth. Here in America, we have indirect elections, meaning we do not have free and fair elections in this country. Meaning, after your vote, after all, Americans, doesn't count. Now, that's just another little thing I'd like to throw in there before I get to this amazing little revelation about Donald Trump. Because, there's this really ridiculous thing going on in the 9/11 Truth Movement, where you have millions of people saying, "Oh, Donald Trump's the next candidate. He's the real candidate. He's going to be the next president. Hillary Clinton's going to die. He's the guy that'll lead America to this new phase," and they completely ignore this guy's past. I mean, just completely ignore it. My God. I just came out with a huge article. I'm not going to read that one. I'm going to read something else from Bloomberg, but I just came out with this huge article, and you can find it, by the way, on our site, GreekNewsOnDemand.com, where I state how Donald Trump is basically a longtime friend of the Clintons. This is an indisputable fact. And how Donald Trump could very well be the agent of the Clintons. An agent of the Clintons. Yes, you heard that correctly. If you go to GreekNewsOnDemand.com to our English section and you and you scroll down, look for the article that says, "Is Donald Trump an agent of the Clintons?" What you're going to find out is this. You're going to find out that Donald Trump has been, for many decades, a closest friend of the Clintons. And you're going to find out something very startling. In May of last year, Donald Trump has a friendly, cordial telephone call with Bill Clinton. And they discussed issues in politics, but they won't talk about what they discussed. Now, about a few weeks later, guess what happens? Donald Trump decides to run for president. Out of the blue. He never talked about it before, but out of the blue, he announces he's going to run for the presidency. Gee, I find that pretty odd. That after he talks with Bill Clinton a few weeks later, he waited a few weeks, in other words, he decides to run for the presidency. We cannot ignore his unbelievably heavy past with the Clintons. I mean, unbelievably heavy past. Read this article, you're going to see it all. So, the Clinton Library, under Freedom of Information Request Act is being forced to release huge archives of pictures from the long-time relationship between the Clintons and the Trumps. And we see already some examples of that. We see tons of pictures of Bill Clinton and Donald Trump chumming it up together. And this is very startling. We see pictures of them even up until recently golfing. So what does this tell you? We see pictures of Chelsea Clinton and Ivanka Trump being best friends. In this report, I show a very recent picture of both of these young ladies chumming it up at some L'Oreal makeup conference or something like that. Or I think it was that, or maybe some type of celebrity press event, something like that in New York. Donald Trump is also a friend of Jeffrey Epstein, the sexual predator who is very good friends with Bill Clinton, who happens to also be a good friend of Bill Clinton. Now, before I close this broadcast, Bloomberg publishes an article on March of 22nd, 1992, and it states with the title, "The Donald Trump's Card." He just got a better deal than expected, and if real estate revives, and it continues. Anyway, what it talks about is that Donald Trump in the 80s was already having financial problems. So, what happens is, some gentleman by the name of Mr. Wilbur L. Ross Jr., as senior managing director of Rothschild Incorporated, gives Mr. Donald Trump a bailout. Yes, you heard that correctly. The Rothschilds bailed out Donald Trump, and Donald Trump's casino empire was first owned by the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds. When he took it over to run it for them. But before he took it over, it wasn't actually the Rockefellers or the Rothschilds that ran it. It was the CIA and Israeli Mossad that ran this casino empire. I'm talking about something international. I can't remember the exact name of the casino empire. Anyway, you can research all this stuff for yourselves, but my suggestion here is don't trust any of them. And research, expose all these things, wake people up. Our vote is already controlled, like I said. It doesn't count. If you think that the polls are manipulated, let me tell you, the Electoral College has the real power here. Hillary Clinton could drop dead any day, or we could just basically see her disappear and be replaced by someone else, most likely Tim Kaine. Anyway, this is John Kountouris from Greek News On Demand, GreekNewsOnDemand.com. Thank you so much for listening. God bless and take care.
This is Ozzy Skateboard, and you're listening to UCY.tv.